Hello everybody and welcome back to Throttle Grotto. This week I actually got to work on the Rabbit, taking a little break from the Cyborg while I'm waiting for parts, and got the fuel lines installed. So this time I'll show you what I did. Stay tuned. I had a little bit of downtime while I was waiting for actually trying to find a glass guy to come put windows in the Cyborg. So I decided to work on the fuel lines for the Rabbit, and let me show you what I ended up having to do to get the fuel lines in this car. So one thing to remember on these cars is that originally the brake lines ran through the car, not underneath. They actually ran them through the passenger compartment on the early cars. So that kind of reduces the amount of space that I had to work with. But I'll start up front and I'll kind of work my way to the back since I'm already above the car. And forgive me if I'm sounding weird today. My allergies are allergies are no joke today. So, all right, I make no bones that I am a professional fuel line creator / installer, as you will see by a lot of the things I did here. So one of the things I didn't want to do was drill any holes in the car, which I couldn't really avoid, but here I was able to avoid it. I just made a little bracket. I don't know if you'd be able to see it, but it's just basically a L bracket that I tapped for a bolt, and then I used some of these Audi, Volkswagen fuel line clips that I got from the junkyard. When you just open them up, they're like a little, they open up this way with a little screwdriver here, and then they have rubber that isolates the fuel lines from each other and keeps them from vibration. So alright, so I started out with a giant roll of this stuff, which is basically 1/4 inch metal fuel line, and cut it in half. I think I had two about 12 or 13 foot sections to work with. You can see here the fuel lines. I tried to run them up as close and as tight as I could with the tools that I had to work with, which was basically me on my back underneath the car with a hand bender. I got them fairly tight up in there, but you'd be surprised at how difficult this was to do with the engine actually still in the car. So lesson number 1, do these with the engine out of the car if you can. It makes it a lot easier. And then here, got them to bend around the subframe here. Have another one of these little clips that this one took a lot of torque, and I bent it a little bit right here, so I reinforced the top of it with a piece of aluminum and then just bolted it through. There was already a hole here, which was nice. I didn't have to drill. Maybe somebody had a K-frame mounted on here at one point or something, and then kind of followed the radius inside of the lower subframe here, and then above the sway bar, and then we'll switch position here because everything seems to be in the way. Okay, so behind the sway bar, I was able to tuck them kind of in between, or next to, I should say, I'm not sure what this piece is called, some kind of lower brace. I was able to get my finger up inside the body here and get a couple of 10mm nuts on the back side of this aluminum bar that I made that holds another one of these little rubber mounts. Same thing back here. You would be surprised at how lucky I got being able to get my pinky up in there and get two 10mm nuts on that one just to keep it from twisting. And then the same thing here with some bends, some ugly bends because I made the wrong ones initially. Tried to get them tucked up as tight as I could. I might be able to reef on this one a little bit and tuck this one up inside this body line just a little bit. So yeah, I got these all to fit, both the brake lines and the fuel lines I got to fit up inside the channel here for the most part with another one of these little rubber mounts. And I did have to drill a hole here in the side with a 10mm bolt going through the pinch weld. It was really the only way I could see that I could get enough place to actually mount something back here. There's just not a lot of room, and this was the best option given how much I had to work with. So the only thing really left to do is to trim these back a little bit more, put a flare on them, and then hook up the rubber lines to the fuel feed and return. And I do have, this one's labeled lift pump, the other one's labeled return, so I can at least keep track of which one goes to which spot in the tank. So back up front, the other thing I got done this week is I got the inserts mounted in the core support for the radiator, and got the Honda radiator and the actual radiator mounted in their channels with some nutserts. And so those are now secured. I still need to line those with rubber. This one has the little fan installed. It's going to be a pusher fan for the intercooler side. And then I'm going to have a fan, this guy right here, mounted on the back side of that one. I need to make a shroud for it though. So tomorrow I have to go buy some more aluminum so that I can make a nice shroud to put on there. So that's just a real quick summary of what I did with the fuel lines. I'm not a pro. I screwed up on these a few times. I didn't want to buy a whole nother set of fuel line and try to run it after I got most of it installed and then screwed up a bend. So they're not perfect, but they will transport fuel from the tank to the engine, which is all I can hope for right now. So that's another big chunk of stuff out of the way on the Rabbit. I have something inside the car that I will probably show you the next time I am working on the Rabbit, and have a little surprise inside. So something completely different and pointless, and you'll say I'm crazy and nuts and everything else, but at the same time it will be awesome. So hopefully this helps you guys out if you're going to do this in the future, and remember to do it with the engine out. So that's it from here. Until next time, get out there and work on something.